Hello everyone, my name is Mike Navarre and I'm a member of Diamond Canyon Christian Church. I am husband to Dee Dee Navarre and father to Christina, Mikey, Rebecca, and Matthew. Basketball has always been an important part of our family life in our home. Our children played everything, all kinds of sports, but in the end they gravitated towards basketball. As toddlers, they learned to dribble a ball and shoot a ball. I coached and trained them, and Mom was their best cheerleader. Basketball took us all over the country, many tournaments they played in. We met lots of great people all over the basketball community. It's a tight community, and we had a great time. Although basketball was a big part of our lives, it was always distant behind our Christian lives. But they did cross paths. I was born into a Catholic family. And I say born into because the choices were made for me. I had no say in the matter. We weren't a strong Catholic family. We only went to church a few times a year. But there were a few strong Catholic Christians that I could look up to. My grandparents, my aunts, and an uncle. They were all very dedicated to their church, in attendance and in service. When I was in junior high, I felt God tugging at me to get closer to Him. And the only way I knew how was to go to the Catholic Church. I had a good friend that lived a couple doors down from me. His name was Victor Gallardo. Every Sunday, I could see his family walk past my house. They were walking to church. I asked him one day to invite me to go with him the following Sunday, and he did. So that following Sunday, he knocked on my door, and we went to church, and went to church every Sunday thereafter. Till about a year later when we moved. After we moved, I still went to church, but now I went alone, more out of duty rather than a feeling of belonging. Here's where the paths start crossing. I'm now a freshman in high school and I'm playing sports, including basketball. An older boy by the name of Art Miola, he invited me to play for his church basketball team. I didn't know him very well, but I knew I wanted to play, so I did. Found out later that if I played on that church team, that I would have to attend his church at least one Sunday per month during the season. So I attended First Baptist Church of La Puente. There I heard a totally different version of the story about Jesus, a story about being saved and about being born again. Strange things. But I didn't give it much thought at the time. I was there to play basketball, but I did hear it. I did hear the story. I played with Art Miola's church for a couple of years, then Art graduated, and I never saw him again. Later, I was invited to play basketball with another church team. A boy by the name of Nefi Tovar invited me to play for his team. Nefi went to the Mormon church in La Puente. It was pretty cool because every church had their own gym. I thought that was cool at that time, I remember. Once again, I was told I had to attend a Sunday service to be on the team. So once again I did. And again, I heard about Jesus. Fast forward a few years. I meet this great girl. Her name is Dee Dee. She's really nice and she's beautiful. We went out on a Saturday night, and at the end of the date, I asked her what she was going to do the next day. She said she was going to church. We began dating regularly, and she made it clear to me how important her church life was to her. Dee Dee had two older brothers that also liked basketball, and they played on a church team. They had invited me to play with them at their church. Again, I later found out that I had to attend church on Sunday. But this time, they told me I had to attend a church every Sunday during the season. I don't know if it was true or not, but it was okay because I wanted to play. That season, I went every Sunday during the season to church. And that lasted about 2 months. Then I stopped going. They invited me the next year. I attended every Sunday that basketball season. I began to hear a lot more about Jesus. I started hearing about salvation, everlasting life, a Christian walk, and many other stories. After that season, I kept going to the First Christian Church of Rowland Heights on Desire Avenue. I kept dating Dee Dee. I became a Christian. We got married and have been going to church ever since. Dee Dee led me to Christ. However, basketball and some friends, they laid the seeds for me to learn about Jesus and his salvation. You may not lead everyone to Christ that you introduce to Jesus, but be confident that you are laying seeds for that person. Lay the seeds for as many people as possible. Those seeds will be watered, and one day they'll be harvested. If you're hearing about Jesus for the first time, recognize the seeds that have been laid for you, and be open to the growth and ultimately a lifelong walk with Jesus. That's my story. Thank you.